So there was a really interesting story this week where news anchors all across the country were filmed recording the exact same script. All right, it was a piece we'll talk about for just a moment, but we talk about the media and who's controlling the messaging, and there's this interesting story here that someone is, at least we can have footage of news anchors everywhere in the country reading the exact same story, allegedly put together by one particular group. Glenn, let's start with you. Is this concerning at all to you, and how is this happening?
Well, I think it's not only concerning, but it's also basically the reason why it's happening is because the FCC has deregulated how many stations one company can own. It used to be you could only reach a certain segment of the country, and if this Tribune deal that Sinclair has goes through, they could reach over 70% of the country, and that's far more than anyone ever anticipated. It used to be in the low 30s. And so what's really scary about this, and at least one thing I like about it, though, is that it's bringing up the topic of station ownership. No one talks about that. But what's scary about this, and I, as someone who used to work for Sinclair and as someone who has a lot of colleagues and friends who still work for Sinclair stations, is that they feel that it hurts their journalistic integrity, not just with these scripts, but a lot of people have heard about these must-runs that are basically commentary. They've talked about some very disturbing subjects during those, and they feel that it hurts their credibility as local journalists. Commentary is a very important part of news, and it's a very important part of our communities, but at the local level. If people wanted to see that national type of commentary, they'd turn on cable news. And I think that a lot of people, their worry is that there's this company in Maryland controlling what they have to say, and they don't like it because the whole point of a local station is local control, and they worry that that trust that's at the local level is kind of being diminished.
What do you think, Rod?
I was surprised how apoplectic the media got over all of this, to be real honest. I mean, every station, Glenn's station, you know, the marketing has always been trust us. You know, trust us because we'll deliver you the news. Well, that's what Sinclair was saying. Trust us locally, because you hear this term fake news out there all the time. We don't do fake news. And I think most people, most television viewers, don't look at local television stations as not being trustworthy. I think they look at the networks as not being trustworthy. And that's why I think Sinclair was trying to separate itself from the networks and say, look, trust us. We're local. Now, did I like it? No, I didn't like it. But as a, you know, and if I was a television anchor being asked to read that, would I have done? Decision I'd have to sit and think about and seriously think about. But I think the media really went a little too crazy on this, much of it driven by our good friends at Media Matters.
Of course, the Desert newspaper didn't.
Now, that's the story nobody covers, is the powerful influence that Media Matters has today. That's the story that I think should be covered.
But I really think the public, seeing that Deadspin video that was put together with all of these anchors and personalities from all these stations around the country reading exactly the same thing in this very propaganda way, I think the general public reacted to that as well. I don't think it's just the media, because you do have that level of trust with your local TV station. I turn on your channel, I see you, I know you.
You're watching.
And even
And you
if
trust them?
I do. Even if I didn't know you personally, seeing you every night in my home would make me trust you more. And seeing you running into you at the grocery store or at a kid's baseball game or whatever, that's what local news has to offer. And you made a good point as well about commentary. It is an important part of the news business, but it needs to be clear what commentary is. And I think that's part of the concern about this. Even if it was the same message read exactly the same way across the country by all of Sinclair's stations, if it had been labeled, here's a message from our owner. Our owner is concerned and wants you to know this. But it wasn't. It was as if it had just organically sprung up in this community. Oh, and coincidentally, in every other community where a Sinclair station exists.
Something to watch, clearly. But we, of course, trust all of you. So
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, thank you for your comments.